Morohoshki faram. Hele moronoroshki fam. Papa para lasko. Hapka fipili pidaramam. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know if it's the guy cleaning the windows or if it's me, but for some reason, we got kicked off the air. Now, let me get let me pick up a radio to make sure, well, where'd the radio go? To make sure that I am live on, the Republic guy is here. And I don't have a camera on him. That kind of sucks. But he pulls into the parking lot, starts lowering his forklift, and then he goes straight in, he picks up the dumpster, and he tips it over, and he's out. I mean, it's just an amazing amount of work done in a short period of time by the guy from Republic Services. I should probably hit them up for some advertising, don't you think? All right, I have a little bit of problem with one of these cameras, so I don't know if we're going to be kicked off the air again. I don't think so. I don't have a radio wherever that went, so I'm going to keep talking to you until I find the radio and my cup of coffee so that I can be sure that I am on the radio. Here we go. There it is. I don't have a radio wherever that went. All right. So I am on the radio. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know what I hit or didn't hit, but we are back, and I have a cup of coffee. Let's take a look at traffic and weather and just start all over again. If you're watching on JED TV, you'll notice that I am somehow really dark, and I think Andrew and Jasmine were here, and they just kind of messed up my studio and then went on their merry way. And so I will have to discuss that with them at some point, but they readjusted the camera and readjusted a whole bunch of things. So I had to put them back together. Anyways, it's a high of 91 today. Right now it's 68 degrees here along the Borman. Sun and areas of high clouds and hot. Possible danger of dehydration and heat stroke. Well, make sure that you take care while doing strenuous activities outside. So a high of 91 today. And 92 tomorrow, hot with periods of sun, a thunderstorm and spots in the afternoon. Possible danger of dehydration and heat stroke, and you get the whole idea. And then pretty much the same thing on Sunday, a high of 91, warm and very humid. Now, we had talked about mid-90s highs and the, what was going to be the hot day was supposed to be Sunday. That's moved to Monday. Oh, there he is. He's cleaning. All right, you can see it. There you go. You can finally see that he got rid of Clean Me, which was there for a long time on the outside of the Purdue building here. And let's see, he's doing a good job now. You can see in that camera well, but somehow they've adjusted one of the other ones. So I'm going to have to maybe go sit out there and talk to you because it's kind of hard to see me. But anyways, the hot day should be Monday. Clouds and sun, hot and very humid with a stray thunderstorm. And that should be in the high of about 96 on Monday. So it moved back a day, so which is a good thing, put it that way. All right, so people are texting me, so it could be that I'm off the air. What do you think, huh? Loro moroshkifi papa. All right, I am live. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. I'm kind of here by myself. Let me talk about a little bit about traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford and Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. The roadways are completely clear, all right? And the, I don't know exactly why there's so little traffic. Well, kind of. You know, it shouldn't be that little traffic because school has started in a lot of places in Indiana, but I don't think Chicago Public Schools have started, and a lot of the, when do public schools start in Chicago? They start on August 26th, so that's pretty late. There's plenty of people that started school around here are already going to school. And that is, I think we're kind of an earlier school year. Most of the people in Indiana start this week, and then they're done in early, late May, a lot of people. And maybe some of them stretch to the first few days of June, but usually not. And in Chicago Public Schools, it's August 26th to June 12th, so they kind of shift it back a little bit, which I wouldn't mind. All right, I'm going to take a couple phone calls to see how you're doing. 219-845-1100. What's on your mind? Hey, what's on your mind, huh?
Have you checked your NIPSCO bill for the month of August?
I am on the budget plan where it is the same amount every month. So I'm not feeling it. I think it'll readjust pretty heavily at the end of the year, but I have heard some just horrific, awful NIPSCO bills that have come to people. What about yours?
Well, I heard over WJOB people complaining about their NIPSCO bill, and so when I got mine, I looked at it, and I thought, I keep a file on all the bills I pay and so forth, so I went back to the month of August of 2024 and did a little number crunching. Turns out, despite the fact that the amount of utilities I use for 2025 for the August bill versus 2024, there was a 37% increase.
So you used the same amount of power, electric, not gas.
Yep.
And your bill is 37% higher.
Right.
Okay. Now, I wonder around what the average is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So anybody else wants to call in and tell us, hey, this is what happened to our bill. Because if I remember correct, wasn't it supposed to be like a $20 increase per person? So
yeah.
What was that
Average.
in absolute terms? About $20? For
Maybe.
you, Walt, do you remember?
I don't like to talk about math off the top of my head, but clearly the correspondence that NIPSCO put out, this is significantly more than they predicted on an average basis.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because we heard about a rate increase coming, and then I didn't follow it all the way, and then all of a sudden everybody got a bill, and it's a lot more. And that is, if you got the inflation numbers yesterday were not very good, and the general amount of money that you got to pay to live, and everything's gone up, but wages have not kept up with the march towards higher prices. Where do you think that ultimately leads, Professor?
Well, I think it's going to make for a lot of very unhappy people. I think they're happy now. I think something like 60% of the families in this country are living from paycheck to paycheck, and we shall see.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I remember, a couple weeks ago, one of the longtime callers called in and said that I think one of the politicians had said, it's tough right now out there for people in the economy. And he's like, what are you talking about? The stock market made it as high as it's ever been. And I just think that no matter where you are on the political spectrum or who you blame, I think the one reality that we can all share is that there are a lot of working class people and a lot of people on fixed incomes that are really getting hit right now and are feeling the pinch. And then a lot of people who have really steady jobs or who are, just kind of wealthy, those folks are really prospering right now. So it's almost like there's two economies, Walt.
I'd say that's kind of the way things always are.
Yeah, but I think it's getting exaggerated right now. I've told you that I thought that one of the biggest problems in America right now is the difference in the spread of wealth between, the highest earners are making more and more, and they're compared to the cost of living, and then 85% of people are not in that category and are just finding it harder and harder to make bills and put food on the table and go on vacation once in a while. And I don't know where that leads, but I think that Trump was able to, I guess, plug into that, that fear and that dissatisfaction that people have with, mostly Democrats who were in charge. And he did a really good job at attracting the average working class person. But now that he's in there, Walt, most of his decisions are not for the working class. They're for the ruling class. And I think that's going to catch up with him.
Well, I think one of the things he's pushing is getting American industry to return to America. And I think that's a pretty good thing to do for working and lower middle class people. It is not. It takes a while for that to hit, but I'm hopeful that it's going to get better.
Well, I think that you are representative of. I know who you are, and that you've done well in your life, and I get it. But you're still older, and you still aren't, out there making new money. So
Right.
You're living off what you have, and that you're living off of, a fixed income. And the decisions that Trump has made aren't in your favor economically, but you will find a part of his platform that you like, and that will be more important than your economic interests at a lot of times. And I think that is kind of a hard thing to figure out in America, but I think a lot of people feel that way. Oh, well, I can't get Medicaid now, or my kid can't get Medicaid that's disabled as well, or the Medicaid's been cut, but you know what? We still have Trump in office. It just doesn't make any sense, because a lot of times you are a proponent of a policy that doesn't necessarily benefit you, if that makes any sense.
Well, I'd like to see, from what I've read in the literature, there are a lot of people who are getting government benefits that are not entitled to it, including illegals. And there are people like Medicaid, for example. I was reading one article that because it's a state-administered program, that they got Medicaid benefits from more than one state. And so what I see efforts to clean up the Medicare, Medicaid rolls is to secure those benefits for Americans and people who are here legally.
I get that.
And we've got a 37.
I'm trying to find the moment that is. I think it's 1.2% or less that they're talking about being fraud. So if I remember looking this up and having this discussion, but it's so let's say 98.5% of it is not fraud, or 98.8%. And you have 1.2% of people that are somehow defrauding the government. That's millions, if not billions of dollars, and I get it. But how does that, in your mind, legitimize cutting people's Medicaid, people that need it? Is it more important that there's fraud than the old woman down the street, can't pay for her meds? You know what I'm saying?
Well, for one thing, I had a student in my class a number of years ago he was an investigator for Medicare, Medicaid fraud. And he said to me, it is massive. It is huge that they're, given the number, the workforce that they had dealing with it, they were just dealing with the worst, the dumbest, the most greedy people. So I disagree with the idea that this is a small problem. And it all adds up. I mean, we've got $37 trillion in debt, and it's a very dangerous thing. Somebody needs to do something about it. And Illinois has just announced that after years of providing Medicaid benefits to illegals, they've now decided they needed to stop providing Medicaid benefits to illegals. Are you saying it's okay to provide government benefits to people who are here illegally?
Definitely not, and you know that. What I have trouble understanding, and you're not alone. I mean, I think you're in probably 40% of people that are listening or more, is how you could. I mean, there's definite statistics all the way across the board that billionaires are getting massive tax cuts, and that we as working class Americans are we have to pay for those. And we all find a way, or many of us that want to legitimize what's happening, find something in there like fraud. Oh, there's a lot of fraud, and that those talking points are very real. But is it really? I mean, what is more important, that there's 1.2% of Medicaid is fraud, or
I think it's
the woman down the street gets her medicine? And that is a question that a lot of people don't even want to ask, because when you ask it like that, it's pretty easy. Most of the time, people just want to get caught up in the story of, oh, some illegal got benefits for their kid and they shouldn't have done it. And I get that. But over time, you're hurting working class people on fixed incomes. That's what's happening in America right now. Anyways.
Well, take for example the rule they want to put in place in terms of requiring work, and the Democrats, as is usual, they're just going crazy. They're talking about it like it's some kind of chattel slavery or something like that. What they leave out is that they have to be able. One of the options is to do volunteer work, and there are people who are saying, "No, I don't want to do anything for it," and that's why we got $37 trillion in debt, accommodating every individual situation, and there's in a country of over 300 million people. Even 1% adds up a lot, and accumulated over time. Something needs to be done, and when you have the Democrats using the social welfare benefits to buy votes, well, of course they're going to scream bloody murder and tell us all the sad stories that individuals that maybe had certain benefits before and don't now. I mean,
okay. Well, you see, that's the part that I don't understand, because there's hundreds of you, if not thousands, that are listening that believe like you do. Like, all right, well, I don't want to hear their sad story, and I just want Trump, and that's too bad about the woman down the street on a fixed income whose husband died 20 years ago, and now she's having trouble getting her medicine for her arthritis. Those are real stories, and you have poo-pooed that by saying, I don't want to hear these sad stories. You see what I'm saying? That surprises me, because you go to all these events, and you and I have these mental gymnastics and so forth, and you are representative of something I cannot understand. You have rejected that the woman can't get her meds down the street. I don't want to hear that sad story. That's what you just said. Why is that, Walt?
Because some of these sad stories are not really true stories. They are people exploiting the system. And the days of reckoning are here now. If we don't do something about that $37 trillion in accumulated debt, we're talking about a catastrophe.
Okay.
We'll all end up being on the poverty line.
I get that.
Like
So
Argentina.
I agree entirely with you. But, well, you and I have been doing this for a long time, and, you have basically taught me a lot of different things. Is when you and Gloria would call me and we would talk, I think I kind of matured into a reasonable morning host, mostly by the tutelage of you two people. Now, she's dead, but you're still here, and you...
Maybe not for long.
No, but
I'm 84 now.
you have gone back to that. You're like, it is a day of reckoning. I get all that. And we have too much debt, and I'm fully with you on all of these things. But then Trump comes and says, well, we're going to attack the debt by giving tax breaks to the wealthiest countries or companies and to the wealthiest individuals. And we are going to cut benefits for 85% of people. So are you okay with, if we're going to go at the debt, which I do believe we should we do it on the backs of working class people, or should some rich people pay? That's what it boils down to.
They're already paying far more than their income. You realize that when it comes to the income tax, that basically the top 50% of the earners pay 100% of the bill. Those are facts.
Well,
I mean,
I think what you are teaching me once again that there is a way to legitimize it in your own mind, and that is the part that I can't make that leap, because I just don't. I mean, I know people that are in trouble right now because of government cuts, and I know a lot of them. And I don't know as if that's what we should be doing. Maybe we should be doing that, and people have to take care of their own families and stuff. But at the same time, we're going to give billionaires and billionaire companies tax cuts. I'd be all right if you, in a weird way, perhaps the way is, no, don't give those kind of tax cuts to Trump and his cronies. Oligarch capitalism is a real thing. But also, let's make government leaner. You saw in Hammond here, they're going to get $8 million less, right? So they put out a hiring freeze this week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
Yep.
And, most people will be like, well, I don't, should we be doing that or not? Well, if you're getting $8 million less, yeah, you should be. I mean, it's hard. Essential people could still be hired. Like, they're still going to give the jobs of the people in training for police, but they're probably not out looking for new police, right? So what are you left with on that? You are left with one option, and that is what is going to be a massive issue here in the next year, and that is a 1.5% income tax if you live in Hammond. Do you know how much money that is for some people? That's the difference between rent and not rent. We're in trouble, Walt. All right, buddy. Hey, like always, I love talking to you.
And something's got to be done, because if we could end up like Argentina, where with the collapse of the economy and their currency, people who are solidly middle class suddenly found themselves in poverty state. And that's where this is headed if we don't do something about it.
We all have I think that there is agreement at certain levels that people don't want to admit. Because I agree to, I'm mostly just a watcher and I make jokes and stuff like that. But in the end, I'm worried too. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm worried about, but I know in my gut that it's there. You're worried that we're going to become like Argentina and that we need to, cut government programs, and who really cares if billionaires get, they're already carrying a lot of the weight, so, we're okay giving them a few tax cuts. to me, I can't hold that same thought in my head. But I believe at a gut level, many Americans like you and me were worried, were upset, and it may be at a high point, at least in the last 50 to 60 years, of the amount of angst that is out there in the world. Do you agree with that?
10%. If you have a wealthy person who's paying $2 million in taxes, and then you have another guy who's paying $2,000 a year in income taxes. If you cut across the board 10%, you come up with a different number just by virtue of the fact that the guy's making paying $2 million in taxes is in a different position than the person who's paying $2,000. It's simple math. The average person is having been taught business math, various aspects of business math and so forth. Grasp of math is amazingly poor. And I saw that when I was in corporate America as well. I was astounded as to how poor their understanding of math is. But if you cut taxes across the board 10%, people who are already paying a large amount of taxes are what they're going to save is much greater than the person who's paying $2,000 in
I get
taxes.
Well, I agree with that math, but I also agree with you that math, if you don't encompass the entire story, can be very misleading. And this is one possible moment, because when you cut $200,000 off the rich person and $2,000 off of the middle class person, yes, they've both been cut 10%. But what is the effect on each of those persons? Now, that person getting cut $200,000 in taxes is probably not accessing services from our government, whether it's early childhood development, whether it is free kindergarten, whether they're older and there's, they go to luncheons and they have certain medicines and so forth. Let's say it's an older person and they've worked all their life and they're accessing a lot of the services that we have made available to the government. So if you are cutting those services, the actual math of the situation would add it up and you put a value on those cuts, then the person who is middle class is taking more of the disadvantage of the tax cut. So yes, they're each losing 10% or gaining 10% of their income, but the poor person used to have services and now they don't. And if you put a value on that, they're getting hammered right now, and the rich person is not. That's math too, Walt. All right, buddy, you and I could go on, and we should probably have our own show at some point. Thanks a lot. All right, guys, I got to catch up, man. I'm way behind. I'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Calumet region.
we may get away. This much madness is too much sorrow. It's impossible to make it today. Yeah. She could drag me over the rainbow and send me away. Down by the river, I shot my baby. Down by the river, dead, ooh, shot a dead, shot a dead.
All right, pretty good, pretty good, pretty neat, pretty neat. All right. It's just me hanging out with you. I got some people coming in, but what I don't have today is a producer, and that there's a lot of vacations going on and a lot of people that couldn't make it today. And you can probably tell it's probably a little bit more roughshod than normal. Hold on, I'm gonna try to put a mic in here. Can you hear me now? Yeah, that sounds better, doesn't it? Yeah, I should probably use that, as there is a little bit of background noise that I've been picking up on my little microphone here, and I will use this one instead. I'll be on my side, I'll be on your side, baby. Together we can get away. All right, I need a clip. All right, give me a second. All right, let's see if this sounds any better. All right. Let's try this one, huh? I'll be on your side, baby. 294. Around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, they're all moving along well. Your high the next 3 days is roughly 92 degrees all the way around the Calumet region. A little bit warmer in the southern areas where they had that big concert last night. Good job by the people at Hometown Jams. We are proud to be one of the main sponsors there. We're on all the banners and everything. I didn't get out there. I went to the Grateful Dead movie instead, and that is more my speed. I rode my bike. The wife had a function, so I was left with a rare Thursday evening. And it just so happened they were showing the Grateful Dead movie at Showplace. So I went over there and partook in the festivities at Showplace. The only problem was riding my bike home against the wind at like 8:30 at night. I could not go to sleep until like midnight. So I may be just a little bit off kilter today. But, hey, you're used to that. So that's your weather, 92 all the way through. Hey, the football season's coming up. The sports season's coming up. I want to say thank you to the many people that have signed up for the halo effect. And the halo effect is that people love their teams and they project that onto your brand. And it is why brands, big brands, spend billions of dollars to advertise on live sports. Well, you can do that here locally now on high school games. One of the guys that's going to tell us about his team is Robinson St. Louis. He's going to come in, and we're going to talk a little bit. And then Dan McNeil's just going to stop by, just partly so that I can have someone to make fun of and just kind of run out of that. Sometimes I don't want to just make fun of Walt. So now I'll have McNeil here, and he'll join us. But I want to talk to you guys. We got open line. We don't have open lines, but you guys that are waiting, let's talk. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my thing is with Hammond. I think one thing that's resolved Hammond's issue is just bring more business back to Hammond. That will solve your tax problem on that. But I don't know if you heard that Griffith Youth Baseball Fields, Babe Ruth Fields, and stuff are all getting redone.
I did not hear that. I mean, are they going to get? They're not going to get knocked over. They're just going to get redone.
No, they're gonna. What our plans for Griffith is, we're gonna redo all of our fields, like pretty much completely redo, new dugouts, new everything. They're gonna add, like, pretty much, we're getting like a mini. Griffith's gonna do like a mini school sports complex.
All right.
It's gonna be like.
As you well know, I coached there for a long time and lived right by there. So I know the area, but with that new pavilion area or area there at the corner of Broad and Pine, where they made all those big, where they do this Friday afternoon thing, you can't use that land. That used to just be open land. You can't use that because that has, between the volleyball and Broad Street, you need that for the concerts, right?
No, the way I'm pretty involved in Griffith baseball and youth baseball and Babe Ruth and all that stuff, and the way I've seen it, the president showed me last night, it is actually the way they have it set up. It's like going to be 100% legit. Like, but the thing is, they're going to start on it in the wintertime, and my biggest thing with that is I hope they have it done before springtime.
Well, I mean, I'll be straight with you. Those fields need it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You mean, even the old green fences and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to say that years ago, a guy named Ray Elbor, who has passed, and I spent days up there pulling that netting on that Babe Ruth field, and it took forever. And I'm pretty sure that's the same netting, and that was decades ago. So, and then it's a usable field, but it's a little bit chewed up, and I'm so glad to hear all that because they could. But there's not enough land. That's my point.
They're gonna keep the 3 fields, but they're pretty much gonna make all the fields pretty much standard Babe Ruth fields, like actual. They're gonna pretty much make all the fields like one size, where all they really gotta do sometimes is just alternate. I know it's something like that, but they're not like gonna be adding more fields in. They're just gonna redo their fields like super nice. Like we're gonna have turf and everything.
Turf?
Yes, they're gonna do turf for the infield, like pretty much like around the plate and everything. Like I said, they're going to do it right for the youth baseball, and I finally give it to them,
I give it to them too, and, having lived right there on Lafayette and Pine, I mean, I spent a lot of time there and brought the kids there. The best playground in the region, I mean, is it possible that it's right there at Central Park? I mean, on a Friday night, when they have one of the concerts going, that thing might have 200 kids on it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Like, that's one thing I could say about Griffith. They're really family-oriented. Like, they always got something going on for the family, the kids. They're constantly doing movies in the park, arts and crafts. So, like, that's one thing I like about that culture with Griffith. They keep it alive.
I agree entirely. But if you could do me a favor, I would love, I know this sounds a little bit geeky. It's almost like my cousin calling in yesterday and he and I talking about different types of concrete. But if you could get me those drawings or give me a link on that, just email it to me. I'd love to see it just because they don't have enough land and I want to see how they're doing this.
Yeah, because I know there's nothing really out on the Times or anything really out there right now, and it's pretty much, this was just dropped on us yesterday, so this is like fresh.
All right, man. Well, if you see any drawings, send them along to me. All right, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you alerting me to that. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you this morning?
Good. Where are you golfing this weekend?
Whitehawk.
It's Mediocre Golf Association isn't golfing, are they?
Yeah, but it's way out east somewhere, and I can't. I can't do an overnight. I think it's like a regional thing or something.
Oh,
but
yes, they have the regional tournament. From what I
Yeah.
understand, that's a lot of fun too, man.
I bet it would be. I wish I could just. We got 2 Saturdays of funerals to go to the next 2 weeks, so no overnight for me.
Oh, my condolences, dude.
Thank you, appreciate it. But hey, you guys are talking about the NIPSCO bills, and just to put my perspective on it is, I wish we could get a detailed list here. Do you realize the projects that company has been doing the past 2 years? Just the gigantic mammoth projects that they're doing. I mean, it's just to pass the buck, you know?
Well, I mean,
Gigantic projects.
I agree,
Anything
but-
going on.
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I guess I don't know. I mean, it's one of them things. You flip the light switch on and it works every day. So, and then you get the bill for it, and it's like, holy crap. But no, the amount of money that a company has been spending the past couple of years is got to be staggering.
Yeah, I was on that committee for like 17 years with NIPSCO, and I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over, so I eventually left it. And that was when they were doing these projects and spending all this money, that in my mind, I always felt like it was a disproportionate amount of money was not coming into the northern parts of Lake and Porter County. That it was kind of all going in to the richer areas. So I agree. I couldn't even follow all the projects. And then the second thing that was happening is that I got the feeling that they were kind of buying more of the power than generating it. You know what I mean? And that would be a problem down the line, especially if pricing of electricity went up. And I think that's what we're feeling right now. How much did your NIPSCO bill go up?
Oh, no, big time. Yeah, you know it. That's for sure. You know it. But I mean, they shut down the coal-fired plant up here. What's it called? It was up by the lake. Was it the Bailey generating station?
Bailey or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, well that project there, all the fly ash that they dumped into them ponds, they had to clean all them ponds out with that fly ash, and they had to truck it all the way down to Wheatfield, and they built I think 2 gigantic landfills at the plant down in Winfield, and it's been going on for years. And you're talking construction this has got to be just staggering amounts of money. How about in between the courthouse in Crown Point and in between the courthouse and Burr Street? Did you see what they did at the end of Burr Street and 93rd there?
No.
They've had that road closed for the past year and a half. It's finally back open, and I wish someone with the details could call in and say what the hell has been going on. But just the amount of poles and infrastructure that they did along in between the courthouse and Burr Street on 93rd, it's got to be. It's unbelievable. So I mean, I think
you're talking about an area that's growing, and I mean, really, one of the things that we probably should spend more time on is understanding what the power grid around here is going to look like as we get all of this growth. I mean, think about all the data centers and the power that is needed to run that, and then NIPSCO's trying to basically give the data centers their own company for power for their own company, and then everybody else has to pay, what is now the existing NIPSCO. So I don't know if we're going to be cheaper than the data centers or the data centers are going to be cheaper than us, but I don't know if we've given that as much attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yep.
All right, man. I'm getting to play on a golf outing on Monday, the Pirates golf outing, and I'll be out at Sand Creek all day Monday, playing in the outing, trying to raise money and all that stuff. So.
Oh, poor you.
But Do you know what it's like to play with two other laborers and the owner of a construction firm for 5 hours? And one of them's my buddy, Kevin Roach, over at the laborers. I tend to drink too much, get a little too loud, maybe say one or two comments that could hurt me later, and then eat something, come in Tuesday morning with a slight headache. That's what's going to happen.
I think you're going to have a good time Monday.
All right, man. Talk to you. Thanks. Hey, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Hello, is Jed there?
Good morning. Can
Hello,
you hear
is
me?
Jed there?
Hello.
Hello,
Can you hear
you're on
me?
the air. Go ahead. What's up?
Okay. Good morning, Jim. This is Grandma Hope. Haven't called in a long time.
Grandma Hope, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing great.
You
Can't
know,
complain.
we're still here even though your grandson isn't. I mean,
Oh, I know. I listen.
he's gone to the big time, but you still got to be part of us. You got that?
Yes, and I listen every morning, so I still hear. But, I think one of the issues is that many people have lost empathy for the human race. And it's different if you know Mrs. Smith living next door to you and you know what she's going through. Well, you may have some empathy for her because times are getting harder. But if you don't know Mrs. Jones at the end of the block or 3 blocks down, you don't care. So you see what you see, but what you don't see, you don't care about. And
Wow.
I just think that's the sad part because we all should be caring about what's going on for everyone. And I know you can't help everyone, but you certainly can have some empathy for what's happening all around the United States right now. And that's what makes me sad, is that you recognize who you know, but if you don't know them, you don't care.
So, Grandma
Oh.
Hope, you're clearing up something for me, and I think you know this. And that Walt and I spent, 19 minutes going over this. And we
Yes,
pretty much agree on a lot of stuff. And Walt is a very caring individual most of the time. But he somehow has gotten to the point where those that are suffering, perhaps even down the street that he doesn't know, he said it. He goes, I'm tired of hearing all these sad stories. And maybe, just maybe, you pinpointed that one element that I'm having a little trouble understanding is how can a guy like that, say that? But if he doesn't know the person and we don't know our neighbor and we have lost empathy as a country, then maybe it becomes a little easier to not worry about the woman down the street who can't pay for her medication. That's very good, Grandma Hope.
That's my perspective on things because, it's just sad. It's just we're living in a sad world right now, and I hope every day that things get better. And my husband and I are on fixed incomes also. We're both retired now, and we still are able, thank goodness, to do things that we want to do, but. Like I'm not on the budget plan on NIPSO, but I kind of budget myself, and I just pay more every month so that the next month may be a little easier. So there are ways to do things, but I hope I never lose the empathy for the people because once everyone does, we're really in a bad way.
The wisdom of Grandma Hope, it's very strong. Hey, Grandma Hope, do you ever think that Sonny would be at Big Ten Network and Rob would be at Barstool Sports? Aren't you proud of these guys?
I am proud of both of them, but you know what? They have had that drive. Sonny, since he was a little guy, he used to love sports. A little guy. He would keep track of all his WWE rounds and a little notebook he would write who was going to win, and he just loved sports from a little guy. So I'm not surprised. And Rob has that same kind of drive. They knew what they wanted. They found a way to get to it, and I'm truly happy for the both of them. Sonny will be almost a year now.
Yeah, and we miss them. Of course, we can never really mention Rob and Sonny that have both gone on to great jobs without the incredible sadness it was yesterday,
Yeah.
as you probably heard
Yeah.
the interview, because amidst all of this good feeling for Rob and Sonny, that's what's supposed to happen. They're supposed to come here. I work them really hard for kind of little pay, and then they get all the experience, and then they go on to bigger and better things. It's happened to dozens of people. One guy that did not get that opportunity was Pedro, and he died in that car crash last year. And Grandma Hope, we have to mention that because it's still real, and the parents are still, we're all still suffering. But
Well,
yeah, it's just how it is.
love. You can tell the love from both of their families and many others, because my oldest brother is buried right across from them. And the upkeep that they keep to their stone with homage with the flowers and all these little things to them are amazing. I mean, you can see that they're both loved very much, and their graveside shows it, because many people who love them take care of it, and they come and they bring flowers and everything else. So that is truly seen. I've seen it myself when I go visit my brother there.
All right, Grandma Hope, good hearing from you.
Okay.
Sonny's probably on his way to work right now, and he's listening, and he's like, oh, I love my Grandma Hope. All right, Grandma Hope, we'll see you.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Thanks a lot. All right, final phone call. I got Ramison waiting here, and we're going to go on. Hey, you're on the air. What's up?
Good morning. Good morning.
Matlock, how are you?
When I hear people like that, it makes me want to cry. It really does. I have been a opposition to NIPSCO rate hikes for years. I was CAC, Citizen Action Coalition, which is Indianapolis. What happened when they come to my community, and they did, when they were asking for this rate hike, when they say they want certain things, they always have it, like if you want to sell something, you have it for more and let other people negotiate, right? Hey, so they go before the Indiana Regulatory Commission, and those of these people who love Donald Trump, they are million. You just got through saying, do they really care about us? It ain't a matter of blue or red. What's that static I hear? That? Hello? 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 Hello?
I can't hear him right now. Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm talking. Hear me
Hold
now?
on a second, Ron. Just one
Okay.
second. Stop talking. My ears went out, and Robinson's looking at me like, what's your problem over there? So give me a second so I can hear you. I need to put a battery in here. Give me 1 second, and I will continue our conversation. This is live radio, Robinson. This is when stuff goes wrong at practice. It's the same thing. Hold on. He's just got to be quiet till I'm done. And there we are. All right, Matlock, I can hear you now. What's going on? Continue on, would you please?
I said, when I hear that lady talking, she's absolutely right.
Yep.
I have been a proponent in opposition to NIPSCO rate hikes, because when they ask for, let's say, $1,000, they probably really want to. They know they're going to be approved for $500. They know that already. So it goes before the Regulatory Commission in Indianapolis, and when they do this, right now I'm a landlord.
Hey, Ron, I'm going to cut you off because I got some people that are coming in, but in the 8 o'clock hour, I would love it if you were still around and you could call me back.
Well, I'd love to call back because I know about this situation. I know about it. I've protested NIPSCO, and I'm going to do it again, because right now I can't afford to. Mine is like $50, but what about my tenants can't hardly pay their rent because they got to pay for the heat? And we know.
I am totally with you. I want to talk a little football for a while, and then I'll come back to the NIPSCO thing in the 8 o'clock hour, okay?
I'll call you at 8:30, okay?
All right, man. I'll be around. Thanks a lot. All right, everybody. Sorry about that. I've had a couple of malfunctions. It is that time of year where all of the, I guess I got to say kids and the students and everybody's on little trips and stuff, even Sam's on one. And I said that I would do the show myself and that I would produce this morning, and you could probably tell exactly how hackneyed that is. Robinson, St. Louis, up next on The Voice and Face of the Region.
I heard you singing to no one. I saw you dancing all alone. One day you belonged to me. Next day I.
Can you hear me in your ear? Can you count to 5? Do it again, please. One more time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can you hear yourself now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to turn your thing up? Hold on.
Nah, it's good.
It's good.
Yes, sir.
How do I say your last name?
St. Louis.
All right. It is that. Someone told me it was like Saint Louis or something
Well,
like that.
that's the original French way.
That is the French way,
Yeah,
isn't it?
But we're in America here, so
All right.
I don't want to keep correcting people. So St. Louis is good.
All right. Be right there.
A red-winged hawk is circling. The blacktop stretches out for days. How could I get so close to you and still feel so far away? I hear a voice come on the wind, saying you and I will meet again. I don't know how, I don't know when, but you and I will meet again.
AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Total, Borman, I-65, everything's moving along pretty well. In terms of the weather, high of 92 basically every day this weekend, including today. And then that really hot day that has been kind of looking at us all week, that would be Sunday. It has actually been moved to Monday. So a high of 96 on Monday. Robinson, St. Louis, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Jim?
Doing all right, man. I'm going to call you Robinson, St. Louis. And
Sounds good.
And everybody should do that, right?
Yes, sir.
And because we all know that when you get with your family, they call you a little bit different on that last name, right? They go back to the French pronunciation. And I was warned to get it right, but evidently we can go with that. Robinson St. Louis is the head football coach at Munster High. You're in your second year. How do you like it?
Love it. It's been a wonderful transition for myself personally, for my family, and I think it's been wonderful as well for just Munster community. And the culture and the program that we're building at Munster High School.
You moved your family from Elkhart?
Yes, sir.
What's the difference between Elkhart and the region?
Um,
What does your wife say?
She loves it, so we're good. So we have family in Elkhart, so we're familiar with Elkhart. I grew up in Chicago, so, and my wife, that's where we met as well. So we were aware of the region. We've always thought, like, man, this would be a good spot. Got family in Chicago, got family in Elkhart. This would be a good spot to land, and never really made anything of it. And God decided to make it work, and so here we are. So we love it.
You caught the eye of Mike Schultz, who is a very discerning individual, just so you know. And I know him, and I consider him a friend, but if you can pass the Mike Schultz muster, you got some talent. And you do have some talent, and you brought it from Elkhart to the region, but you brought up a good point about coming in to a kind of a tradition-laden program and culture. Now, I came out the other day to your football day and explain to people what that was.
Yeah, so our Mustang football day was just an opportunity to get all of our football, every level involved, and we want to get together. We're a family, and sometimes think of it like a big family reunion. So we get Pop Warner. They got a little practice in, and they got to be on the game field. Our 4 teams this year got to be on the game field and play in front of some fans, playing some in front of our high school kids. And then we got our 8th graders competing against, not really contact, but competing against our freshmen, and then freshman versus JV, and then JV got some work with varsity and varsity on varsity as well. So it's just an opportunity to just play football and just see our entire program all together on one day. It was pretty fun.
It really was a beautiful moment, and I just wonder if other programs are doing similar things. But you had the Pop Warner behind the stands. You had, I guess, probably a larger Pop Warner out on the soccer field, and then you had 8th graders with Gillardin in one corner. And then you have JV, and I was surprised that there's that many kids all the way up and down in the program. So when you come in, and Munster were 53 years, had John Friend and Leroy Marsh, and you're probably not tired of hearing it, but I'm sure you've heard it a bunch of times.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and then Grunwald came in for a little while, carried on the tradition. But you're given a program that maybe has not performed up at the same level that, say, Leroy and Friend had it, and you want to get it there. What do you do?
I think you need to process like the state of the program, and for us, when I look at it, like it's a wounded program. It's not a dead program. It's a wounded program, and we needed to like really take care of some of those wounds and really dress it up and make sure that and help our parents, help make sure the administration, which they are, and the kids, they know. And every chance I get, I try to remind them that Munster has been successful. Munster has been respected, and maybe it's right now Munster football, we're struggling, we're a little wounded, but we're going to be all right, and we're going to come back stronger. And that tends to happen a lot when people fall, they get down, they're hurt, they come back stronger. And that's what we're going to do, but it takes time. The healing process takes time. And so that's kind of my process, my thought, how I look at it. And what do? We start from the ground, and we just slowly and meticulously, just any area that needs our attention, we give it. But we just create expectations and standards, and we hold everybody to it.
Like a lot of football programs in the region, and probably Hobart is closest to this. We were here yesterday doing a podcast. Will Glaros and I do a podcast together. Will was on the very first team when they were still playing in the JV level in Munster. And he and I, we talk about that. He played for John Friend. And then I was on John Friend's last team, and when he left and I graduated, he came over here to Purdue. And then I've known the Marshes for a long time. But sitting out there also was a guy who's interning here over the summer. He goes to Carthage College, and that's AJ Preboy. Now his little brother's on your team now, right now, so I get updates from AJ about what you guys are doing and how things are going. But there was an instant bond between Will Galeros, who's well into his 70s, me, I'm early 60s, and then AJ Preboy, who's 20 years old. But it's the same thing. We all played Munster football, and then I'm getting ready to do my podcast, and Will and AJ, who never met each other, had instantly things to talk about. After a while, I'm like, hey, get his phone number. Come on, let's go. And so there is that tradition. Sometimes, though, I just wonder if that tradition can be constricting in any way.
I think it's one of the things that I've learned from past mentors is just like, be careful with the job that you take. I think that's important because you don't want to go to a place where you have these giants in regards to coaches, and then you got to follow it up, and no matter what you do, it's wrong, right? You change it and it works well, people are still gonna complain. You don't change it and it doesn't work well, it's, you're not as good as them. And so I think, like, I've never really felt like this area, like, and people bring it up, like, oh, you get tired of people talking about John Friend or Leroy. No, I don't, like, because, like, I respect high level coaching. I respect those who've gone before me and done it. And so I love that. And I'll be a fool to not trying to glean and learn something from that. And so any chance I get, we're going to talk about, like, how did this work for you? And I'm strong enough of a man to know that just because it worked for you, I know myself. I know maybe it will work for me, maybe it won't. And I can handle criticism. I don't have a problem with that. But I love talking about, like, just the past in regards to the successes they had, and, like, we want to emulate that. We want to go a step above that and be better than that. That's me. That's the competitor in me. I don't know if I can pull off 30 whatever years Marsh put in. I was just talking about that. Like, I've been coaching 18 years already, and I'm tired, right? I'm tired. I'm gonna try to get as much as I can, but, like, I love having those conversations because it continues to remind me that Munster invests in their coaches, and they're patient with the program, and they're gonna support and provide the resources and give you the time to develop it the right way. And that's something that really, again, from the experiences I just came from, that for me and my family, it keeps me at peace, so that way I know I can give my all and give my best and understand that it's gonna happen when it happens.
I went out, I don't know, in the basketball season to see a Crown Point game. And I was just sitting there, and I see in the corner, I see my buddy. I see Craig Buzia.
Yeah.
We've known each other for 50 years. And I walk over and talking to him and laughing and doing the things that we do. And he goes, hey, man, you want to see something? And I go, I'm kind of watching the game. What do you mean? No, come on with me. And so we walk across out down the hall, and we walk into this massive open field house, right? And I go, wow, this is really cool. And then he's got maybe 30 or 40 kids doing some passing drills.
Yeah.
This is February, right? And I go, wow, man, this is really cool. He goes, what do you mean it's cool? Come here. I told you. I go, well, I want to watch the end of the game. No, come on. So he takes me into this dome where there's 100 Crown Point football players, and they're running plays, and he goes, hey, look at that. And I go over there, and I look, he goes, that's my tailback. And I look at this physical
He's a specimen, isn't he?
I go, I'm like, Brazil, what are you doing here? And I go, all right, here I am. You're going to make me work, so I do a little thing with them, and tens of thousands of people watch the interview. But I open it up, hey, this is Craig Buzia, head football coach at Crown Point. I go, first of all, Buzia, this is pretty cool. How many people do you have on your team from sophomore to senior? He goes, well, I think it's 152. It might be 154.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have 152 sophomore through seniors. And people wonder why he's got the best program. Maybe, just maybe, right outside of Indy, there's a couple in those little where all the McMansions are and stuff that might be a little bit higher level, but right there with Buzia.
Yeah.
I go, this is just nuts. And then he showed, he's like, and then we do the interview, and he's like, yeah, that's my tight end. And I'm like, that is D1 right now. He could help Michigan right now on the line, right? And I'm like, what is going on? And then I go around to some of the other places, and they're having a little trouble getting the kind of numbers.
Yeah.
So how do you, how do they can play volleyball? No, they can play soccer.
Yeah.
They can, sometimes you get a baseball coach that kind of whispers, hey man, you don't really want to play football because I don't want you to get hurt. You're competing with other coaches, you're competing with other sports, you're competing with academics. So when you talk about Leroy Marsh and John Friend, it's not just an open thing like, hey, there's nothing else to do, let's play football. Mm-hmm. How do you compete in this world to get those kind of numbers?
Yeah, I think, and to answer that question, I want to start back with, number one, I love Coach Bazia. He's been such a great mentor to me, and he runs everywhere he's gone, he's won. And it's because he does it at a high level, and he expects high standards for coaches, for players, for parents, you name it. You're going to meet that standard. And
I agree with you, but I just want everybody to know that I've known Craig Bazia for a long time, and I've played 3-on-3 basketball. I played high school basketball against him, and there is not a bigger whiner in the region when it comes to I got fouled. I'm serious. And I'm like, I quit wanting to play against him or with him and everything. We got in big arguments. I go, you're a big baby. You did not get fouled.
I'm going to have to send him that text
But anyways, he's in a great position.
He is.
152 kids.
It's a lot of kids.
50 a grade.
And the thing that you kind of learn from that, when he came in, again, Crown Point is Crown Point, but when he came in, he came into a struggling program here. It wasn't like that. And how do you do that? And it's something that I truly believe in. The numbers will come because people want to be a part of a winning culture. They want to be a part of something successful, so they will jump on the bandwagon. And so our task is, and it's always has been and always will be, you win with what you have. I'm not going to sit here and complain about, I don't have this kid. There is a ton of athletes in our high school right now that could be playing football, and we will be competing, winning sectionals, all of that. 100%, I can tell you that. But they're not playing football. Why they're not playing football, I don't want to get hurt. I want to focus on one sport. That's that. I can't make them change their mind. But what I can do is the kids that are invested in our program, I can give them my best, and I'm going to create a high-level program, and we're going to provide the resources, we're going to develop, and we're going to do those things, and we're going to win, we're going to compete with what we have, and then the rest that's going to help us get over the top and win those sectionals, then they're going to jump on the bandwagon because everybody loves to win. And that's just that's our game plan, and that's what we're going to roll with.
So it's your second year and getting a little momentum. We can all feel that. But let me just remind you, which I don't need to, who you open up with. He opens up with 6A Lake Central.
I didn't know.
And then he goes to Griffith, and he's got to play at Phil Mason's. And if there's a guy in the region that is so nice to hang out with socially, and then he steps on the sidelines of a football field, and he's kind of Russ Radke-ish. He's it. He is, and he's building something special at Griffith. Mm-hmm. Then you're at Holbert. I was over there talking to them. They're pretty high right now, and you saw the coach here the other day. And then you got Andrayan, and Skinner was in here. I knew Skinner has a good team because I'm like, hey man, how's it going? And he says, things are coming along. And, we're just
not
trying
stressed
to
out.
And I go, wait a second. And then he comes in here to do media day, and he sits down next to a kid who's 6'3".
He looks like a baby compared to those two, doesn't he?
He looks like a little, dude, something's wrong with you or something. Because he's next to Ethan Reyna, who's only going to be a junior. I didn't know that. And then Novak, who's going to Wisconsin. I go, right there, you have that's like two of the best players in the northern half of the state of Indiana.
Yeah, they're good
and he was
players.
really downplaying it. I was laughing with Bartolomeo out here, he's the coach at Hanover Central. I'm like, listen to Skinner in there just saying, oh, I don't know what we got, but he's got a great team. So you're opening with 4 amazing teams, and then you got Hanover
and
Central.
And it just keeps going.
And then Hanover Central's right after that. It'll be in the 6th week. You may have a little bit, you can't take a break, but East Chicago Central is sandwiched in there. You know, what is the state right now of the NCC and region football right now? I get the feeling that it's good.
It's good football, and that's how I like it. Like I truthfully, like, if personally, as a coach, as a competitor, if I was worried about what's my record going to look like, I wouldn't have taken this job, because I know it's an uphill battle. But what I'm worried about is building something special. What I'm worried about is developing competitors, and that's where my mind is at. So I'm not afraid of going against whoever. Obviously, I want to make sure I protect our kids. Like, we go in the summer, we go against Crown Point, but it's a controlled scrimmage. Like, well, I'm not going to send my kids against Crown Point right now. But like, at the end of the day, whoever's on our schedule, we're going to compete in. We're going to give our best. And I feel confident with our players. I feel confident with our program and our culture that slowly but surely we're going to keep chipping away. And then what the conversation we're going to have is, man, look who all is on their schedule. They got Munster. And so that's what we're building.
So your team, I saw Schasberger in here. I saw him, and you had who's the other guy you had?
We had Zion Richards. So
what does Zion play?
He is our inside linebacker, and he plays running back as well. But so it was
Schasberger's a quarterback.
Yeah, leader of our offense, leader of our defense. They came with us.
And you got a lot of people coming back or no?
Yeah, it's a good mix. I think we have a decent amount of skill guys returning on offense, so that's why we're able to, I feel really confident offensively of people knowing what they're supposed to do and the precision and those things that we were able to do. We had 2 returning linemen, and we had to get 3 new guys in there, and they're coming along well. Defensively, we had to move some people around, but a decent amount of returning starters. The defensive line, we had quite a bit of returning starters, so they understand what we're doing, and they're developing their techniques. So I feel pretty good about where we're at, definitely. Again, on the media day, I was saying that I feel like where we are right now, before we even play a game, is we were mid-season last year, if not even close to the end of the season. I feel like we're doing really well.
I'm talking to Robinson, St. Louis. Robinson was here. I know he's got to go to school, but you were here for media day. I just got to remind people that this is the first year, and it is the first conference-wide network in the state of Indiana, and it'll be the NCC network. We actually, we here at JED TV Sports Network, Sam Michaels, basically his network, has partnered with all of the schools. There's 7 now, and it'll be 8. Or is it 8 now, and it'll be 9? Which one is it? 7. Ileana's kind of in.
Ileana is coming. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're in already.
Yeah, they're kind of in already, but we're considering them, and I think officially they come in next year. And we're going to stream the games, and we're doing that in conjunction with the Times has. I think we're going to have an announcement next week of how we're going to kind of blow the games up. So you'll be able to watch Munster football for free on your TV. Hobart, Andrean. Andrean, we are going to announce, I think, on August 30th. We're going to do basically a game day before the game, and that'll be from that Andrean parking lot, as they'll be bringing Fort Wayne Lures in. And our own Joe Cimino, who was the quarterback there at Andrean just a couple of years ago, he's going to host it, and we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of momentum going into the season right now. Now, all these coaches were here. They had a couple of players, each of them. You had a big media day right here at the Purdue Center. Are they starting to accept you yet?
Oh, we're there. We're there. We got great kids. I think just the buy-in to our culture is phenomenal. One of the things, one of our coaches, we were just talking about it. We have some standards on hey, when we leave the locker room, this is how it should look. This is where you put your helmet. This is where you put your cleats. We don't leave trash on the floor. Like, this is what we do. That's our culture. And one of our coaches, because I go in and I check, and then everything that's out of place, like, there's a consequence. And our coach was like, man, they're killing it in there. So, like, that's just a little piece of it that shows, like, our kids are buying into what we're trying to do, and it's special. And talking about special, you guys do some wonderful things for football and for athletics across the board, man. Just being able to, like, bring our kids in, media day, and obviously just the partnership you guys are doing. So we appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Did you eat any docs when you were here?
Oh, yeah, that was good stuff.
Wasn't that good?
Yeah, that was good, man.
Yeah, Brent Brazier brought it over himself, and now you know Brent.
Now I know.
So now you can
Now
go
I
in there and
know.
say, hey, Brent, I'm going to take some kids in there. Can you do something for me? And he'll cut you a little deal or whatever. Hey, he's Robinson, St. Louis. Football does not start today. Kind of, but the games start next week. We'll have some people on next week to kind of preview what's going on those first couple of weeks. But Lake Central comes into Munster. That will be one of our many games on that Friday. So good luck.
Yeah, appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Now, I got to keep talking for a moment. Just go ahead and put that down softly. It's just me here. And then Danny Mack is going to join me. He's already out in the parking lot waiting his turn. Speaking of football guys. So stay where you're at, and Danny Mack and I are going to talk a little bit on the voice and face of the Calumet region. Why not, huh? You got to hear Grateful Dead, baby, going down the road, baby. All right, now, slow. Sometimes you're just feeling bad. And I'm playing this Grateful Dead so that Dan McNeil can just tell us again how bad he thinks the Grateful Dead is.
Well, the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. Going where the water tastes like wine. Yes, it does. Wanna be treated this way. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Down the road, feeling bad. Wanna be treated this way.
everybody. AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. It's that midsummer week or two where kids are going back to school. I give some folks some time off. A lot of them are on trips, so it's just me here. We're going old school like I did for so many years. So no producer, so please have just a little bit of patience in my lack of quality. Can I test your microphone?
Sure, Jim.
This is hometown radio at its best. Hold on a second. Hi, Dan McNeil. How are you?
Well, level check 1 2.
There
Level
you
check
go.
1 2.
Good. Now you got it.
Yeah, we're gonna do a sound check. No producer. Boy, that's a bad way to do a radio show.
No, it's not. I know how to operate all of this.
Sure, but you're multitasking. I was noticing on the way here, and I enjoyed hearing the new Munster coach and wished him well. City kid from one of the mains. I always confuse them up in Park Ridge. And I know it's been tough sledding these last few years at Munster, but I think you've got a community and a school system that will always be behind good leadership, and that started with Coach Friend, as you know. And I was at Highland when Coach Friend was building his legacy at Munster, and was lucky enough to be part of just the second team in Highland history in '78 that thumped Munster.
Stop, will you?
You might remember that. I'm
Stop.
sorry, I can't
Stop.
hear you. You're off mic.
All right.
You've got to turn your microphone on if you're going to defend your Mustangs.
I'm on.
With
And
such-
hold
you
on,
were on a
I
second
gotta adjust your ears a little bit.
Yeah, I
So-
noticed on the drive here the meters were pinned a little bit. So
Are they a little bit high?
yeah, they were a little bit hot. You
Okay.
were bouncing a little bit.
Okay,
but,
so let
you
me
know,
go. I got you. And can you hear me a little bit better now?
Sure.
Yeah, right
sure.
there.
Sam, come on in, man. Sam, come on in, buddy. Let's not do a pod. Can you give me more headset volume too?
How am I?
I'm good until 8:30. There you go.
right,
I'm good
much
until
better.
8:30 because I've got a strained voice too, as you can hear, and it's easier to do radio when you can hear yourself.
There you
And
go.
I apologize for the Joe Cocker impersonation. I sang a week ago last night, Jed, at the Wicker Park Thursday night series. I sang with Bonfire last Thursday.
AC/DC?
Yeah, AC/DC.
You
Bonfire.
sang AC/DC?
I've been lucky enough to be invited to sing with Bonfire 4 or 5 times, and I've always done the same song, Gone Shootin' from their Unheralded Powerage album. But not many people know that song, and it's within my range. And it's AC/DC, so how bad can it be? But If You Want Blood, You Got It is one of my favorite songs, and it's out of my range. So I thought I would challenge myself last week. And what Jim Hilligans, who's a Highland guy, said to me years ago, and it always resonated with me, people who go to these festivals, people who go to J.J. Kelly's in Lansing or wherever, they want to have fun. They want to buy in. They're not there to critique you like they're Lester Bangs writing for, a magazine in the 70s. They're there to have fun. And Jim said, act like you belong. And that's not hard for me because I swim in many tanks. And I really enjoy being a front man and just, I don't have to be paid to make a fool of myself. I'm going to sing in 13 days. I've got an assignment in the western suburbs to sing with a local band that gigs up there, Johnny Vermillion. There's a great Neil Young act. I love Johnny V so much. And I'm going to sing Dead Flowers by the Stones to celebrate my 64th birthday on the 27th. He's got a show in Geneva on the 28th. So I've got to rest the pipes until then. And I've got to do an air check this week. I'm auditioning for a gig, and it's a gig I'm very excited about. I've been wanting to wear this radio station's uniform for a number of years, and it looks like I'm going to get the chance. It's one of your competitors, so I'll leave their name off the air. X-Rock. So, yeah, I love
we're not a
X-Rock.
competitor with X-Rock.
Sure you are. You compete for...
X-Rock is...
everybody's in a competitive industry now. Terrestrial radio is never going to die. It's never going to die, but it's mutated. It's terribly mutated, and it's never coming back to what it once was. But what you have at X-Rock, similar to here, is an audience that isn't being served by Chicago radio the way it used to be. And when the Loop went Christian, 97.9, maybe 5 years ago, it opened the door for the Drive, 97.1. And I'm an alumnus of the Drive. I worked there twice, at the station's inception in 01, and again to do mornings in 15 and 16. And it stopped being special when they fired Greg Salk, who brought me to the Drive, who developed me at the Loop. I lost my power there. I'd still be doing that job. It was the best part-time job in the history of American radio. You just had to get up at 3:45 every morning to go do it. And I missed one day in 2 years. And I was literally very sick. I couldn't get there. I loved going to work every day. Cubs win, Sox lose, here's Aerosmith. That's got me written all over it. And the people were great. I reconnected with people I hadn't worked with in 5 years, 10 years, in some cases 20 years, in the case of the great Bob Stroud and Bobby Skafish and Kathy Voltmer. Man, I've worked with so many great people, Jim. And if there's something I did right, because I did a lot of wrong things, it's that I job hopped my entire life. And because of that, I got to know almost every major talent in Chicago radio history beginning in 85. Brandmeier, Dollenmeyer, Kevin Matthews, GN. I interned at GN in 85. Wasn't my flavor, but you've got to respect what Bob Collins and Wally Phillips and my mentor Chuck Swirsky meant at that time. They're part of the city's rich history in talk radio. And on the FM side, my goodness, Bobby Skafish from Gavitt High School. It's just, I've tasted it all. I've tasted many men and many women, and I've loved the taste of all of them, Jim. And I'm the only one who can say that. I don't know if there's anybody who's worked with more people and has come to collaborate with so many amazing people. That was the greatest joy of my career. And sorry for being a little verbose. I have what they call radio blue balls. Can you say that on WJOB?
Yeah, that's fine.
I know you talk politics, which I refuse to do, and that's fine with my new employer, X-Rock.
So
yeah, I don't say political things.
You know,
I've got a real bad IT band. Let's go to yoga together today.
I'm not doing yoga next to you. I do it next to Juan Marrero, and that's enough. He crowds me a little bit.
Well, I won't crowd you, but I need some help stretching my IT bands and my hammies, man. I'm all bound up.
Yeah,
that didn't sound right.
I know. I didn't even introduce who we're talking to because most people know who you are.
That's
but
not true.
Some people
I'm yesterday's
don't.
news.
Dan McNeil comes out of Highland High School, 1979.
That's correct.
And he goes on to be one of the pioneers in Chicago sports talk radio, if not the main pioneer in the first. If you think Chicago sports talk radio for the last 40 years, you think Dan McNeil and maybe two or three other names. And one of those other names, Dan, is one of my favorites, whom I never met, but listened to and ultimately got you your start, I thought, Chet Kopic.
Chet scraped me up off the street in 1988 when I was broke and low. I forever will be indebted to Chet. And he was very willing to remind me of that over the years repeatedly. But I owe my chance to Chet, who had faith in me when I was 26 and raw, cocky, fired by the Hammond Times, destitute, renting on Clough Avenue in Highland, selling a dryer in the summer of '87 to pay rent, hanging our laundry up on the rope like hillbillies in the backyard. Roger Good and me. I fished for protein, literally. I was 26. I was broke. I was low. I was coaching freshman football at Gavitt. I was considering bailing on my career as a broadcaster and going on to finish my degree and get a teaching certificate, which I could have done gladly. I love working with dudes, man. I really love mentoring. Greatest joy of my career is seeing all these producers like Danny Parkins, go on and make 2 comma money. Like Judd Surratt, the voice of the Bruins, John Weideman, the voice of the Hawks. Locally, Chris Ramirez is on the tree. Man, that's what gets me off more than anything is doing that. So Chet scraped me off the street, and I was developed by the great Greg Salk, who I played golf with Wednesday up in Long Grove, and was one of the most meaningful days of the summer for me, as was the evening with a couple of ex-Bears buddies who've been – Jim Morrissey lost his wife, backup linebacker for the 85 team. She's the first – Amy was the first of the 85 Bears wives to pass away. We're 40 years past this now, and Jim's my closest friend of any athlete I've ever met. He's as real as the day is long, and Amy's passing was so tragic. And to be with him and help him in some ways heal a little bit and, spend the night at Casa de Morrissey. And it's a big empty house these days. And you find yourself in your 60s, I have anyway, getting more usefulness out of being of a service to people than to myself. And it's not about earnings. It's not about popularity. It's about words you can use to help people feel. And professional football players are not immune to that. And Keith Van Horn is a good buddy. And Keith and Jim are diametrically opposed in many ways. Socially, Keith Van Horn is my guy because he and I took a walk and got an appetite for chocolate at the restaurant the other night. We took a little walk, and I said, Keith, I just went to Michigan recently. New Buffalo is, man, brand new world out there. And so after we devoured some wild caught sea crustaceans, because I won't eat anything out of a tank, and neither do they, and some prime beef. We had a big slab of prime rib. Morrissey had a couple margaritas. Yeah, we had a great day. But Greg Salk and Steve Downs from The Drive, Paul Agassi from The Loop and The Score, just great leadership. And what a meaningful Wednesday I had. Wednesday morning all the way through Wednesday night. It was great.
He's Dan McNeil, the pride of 1979 of Highland High School. Yesterday I said, I was trying to, I said, well, Dan, we'll come in and I'll talk NFL football with you. And you know what he says? He says, oh, that'll be a short conversation. So you made my Substack this morning about you not respecting my sports knowledge, which I get.
Oh, no, that
is not true. You know exactly that. You and Sam Michael laugh when I try to talk sports with you.
We don't laugh at that about you. We laugh about other things about you. It has nothing to do with your sports knowledge. Jesus, a million people know sports. There's other things we can laugh at you about.
One of those is, are you a music person?
You're
Am I hot?
Yeah, no, you're not on at all now.
All right, I can hear myself.
Why don't you lose the cordless and go
all
old
right,
school?
I'll tell you what. I'm going to cut right in front of you, and I'm going to go old school here. And
it's not beneath me to sell cars for life or for health insurance like I did in 2017.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How are you doing now?
I'm here. I'm happy. I'm finding happiness in different things. I've accepted some things that some can't, and it took me a while to accept that the radio life I knew is over and never will return. Podcasting is a bad word to me. There's no intimacy. I tried it for 3 years. I made some money podcasting for Bet Rivers. They got behind me. They sponsored the tailgate here for a year and a half. It just doesn't resonate with most of my crowd. It just doesn't. You're the exception to the rule. For every Jim Dedelow out there who understands the digital world, there are 9 guys 50 and above who will never in their lives punch the button on a podcast. That's reality. And when I saw this, and I'm doing some of the best one-on-one interviews of my life, and we're drawing 5,000 views, 10,000 views. You know what Terry Boers and I used to do? You know what Mac Yurko and Harry used to do? We used to fill Wrigley Field for 4 hours. At the peak of our powers, we filled Soldier Field. We had an average quarter audience, average quarterly hourly rating of 60,000 people in our best ratings book, Terry Boers and I. Mac Yurko and Harry filled the Rose Bowl. I mean, we posted, but that era is gone. People use the medium for dip. They use it like toilet paper now. They use it when they need it in short bursts. Hate to make a toilet analogy by saying short bursts, Jim. It's early. And I was at Wicker Park again last night.
So
my
there
goodness.
could be
The
plenty
Leonard-
of short bursts.
Yeah,
okay.
the Leonard Skinner act last night, Freebird, at Wicker Park, just knocked it out of the park. They were so good. I was in the front row jumping up and down, just getting my dance on. I love Skinner.
You're dancing?
I do dance, yeah. I strut. Yeah. Well, I got a new body this summer, so I might as well show it off. If you're 175 pounds, wear clothes that are nice and draw attention to your above average hair. So that's what I did.
What about all that?
Pull that microphone up near your mouth.
I'm going to switch.
If you just hold it, it keeps falling into your shirt.
Okay. I forgot what I was going to say.
You were talking about music. You said you're a music, and then I interrupted you.
So I went last night. Once a year they play the Grateful Dead movie or something at Showplace. Mm-hmm. So while you were doing that, I went and saw what I consider the greatest band in the history of music, and that's the Grateful Dead. You don't think so, do you?
No, I think they have one of the greatest followings. That's undeniable. I mean, Jerry was not a part of it for how many years, and they still packed big arenas. You don't do that without having a loyal legion of fans. It's not about whether I get the music or not. It's about the fact that they didn't appeal to American radio. You can't run with the big dogs if you have 3 recognizable songs or 4 or 5 you can't say the Grateful Dead are in the same stratosphere as 100 other rock bands because they just didn't produce made-for-radio music. The Allman Brothers are one of the greatest American bands. It's undeniable. But other than Ramblin' Man, not Ramblin' Gamblin' Man, that's Bob Seger's greatest contribution to music in 1969. The Allman Brothers didn't make radio songs either. Bob Dylan didn't make radio songs and is one of the greatest rock and roll musicians of all time. Eric Clapton of Cream was every guitar player. I've got to respect people who do what I can't. 3 weeks into guitar lessons, Irene Stuckert over on Cottage Grove Street. I had a crush on her. I'm in 8th grade. She's 1 year out of high school. She says to me after 3 or 4 weeks of lessons, "Have you considered the bass?" I didn't have the fingers to play guitar. So I'm sorry, I'm bad. But everyone loves Eric Clapton, for his guitar work. Make some songs, man. Make some songs. Everybody can lay down Sally and, the cover of Bob Marley's Cocaine, and Wonderful Tonight. Great wedding song. I have that as my first, on all of my odd-numbered weddings, like 1 and, if there ever were to be a 3, I'd have to go Wonderful Tonight again as the first dance song because it's about a guy who gets too drunk to get out of his own clothes at the end of the night. Beautiful song, though. Eric, make some radio songs, and we'll talk.
He's Dan McNeil. Let me take a short break. I'm a little behind. We're going to talk not just about things. We're going to talk about Dan McNeil right after this. And
do I have time to have a smoke, Jed?
You have plenty of
play
time.
a song. Play some Skinner or something so we can regroup. I've got nowhere to go until the body shop opens at 9.
So you have time to go get
You want me to get you donuts? You want me to
just
go get
go
Sam
have
Michael?
have a smoke.
Okay.
I got to catch up on some
Gotcha.
things, and I'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region. Testing. We are off of radio, and I'm going to adjust a couple of things. Some of you on the live video stream might be still getting this, but I think McNeil's right. I need to adjust my headset here. And it is a Friday morning, and school starts in a week. So I'm doing it myself. You know what I mean? I need the blue one. Let's see if that's going to work. And many of you are hearing the Schneider trucking. All right, let's see what we got here. Testing, test. That should work. Hello, everybody. AM 1230 WJOB. There you go. I'll wear that one. All right. Pretty good. Pretty neat. All right. Pretty good. Pretty neat. All right. Pretty good. Pretty neat. Pretty good. All right. Pretty good. Pretty neat. All right. Pretty good. Pretty neat. All right. Hey, everybody. AM 1230 WJOB 104.7 FM, hanging out here at the studios along Indianapolis Boulevard on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And we are getting ready. All the students that helped me out in the morning, they all got stuff going on. And so I am here by myself. And bad news for Veterans Views people, I'm your producer today. So just get ready for a complete lack of professionalism and somebody that's just stumbling around trying to figure out things. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west. Whoa, looks pretty good. And Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan is lighter than normal. But right at the city, backing all the way up from 55th Street all the way up to Jane Byrne, there was an earlier accident. And that is causing a problem late. So whether you go up the Skyway or you go up the Dan Ryan or Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan and all that, either way you go, you're still going to hit it. And that's the one major delay in the entire Chicago area is 55th on in. Borman looks good. I-65 looks good and so forth. I'm going somewhere on Saturday morning to spend the day with someone out east. And it is talking to somebody that we're going to meet out there and say, for the next 3 years, they're going to rip up the Borman. And that is going to start sometime late this year when they start ripping up some lanes to lay some cable for internet to connectivity of all the signage that they're going to put in. And it's going to, the first remark I got from the guy was, didn't they just do that? Well, anyways, if you think it's bad now at 3 o'clock anywhere near the Borman, the traffic on the Borman is bad, and then it spills over into the Hammond, Griffith, Highland, Munster, Lansing, and you can't go anywhere. It's enough to make you start riding your bike again. In terms of the weather, we were supposed to have that really warm day on Sunday, but it has not materialized. As you're basically a high of 92 through today, tomorrow, and Sunday. All 3 days, any moment a thunderstorm can break out. Your hot day is Monday with a high of 96 degrees. I had Brent Brazier brought in the food the other day for media day for the NCC. And also I talked to Brent a couple of other times. He was at the Wisconsin State Fair having just an amazing amount of sales going on with his Doc's Barbecue. They're one of the biggest vendors there at the Wisconsin State Fair. And then they ultimately had one of the worst storms they've ever had in the history of Milwaukee, as they got something ridiculous like I don't know, was it 12 or 15 inches of rain in an hour, and they had to close. And he lost some considerable income over the last 2 days. But he had a really good Wisconsin State Fair. And as Robinson St. Louis said, he brought the food here on Wednesday night for Media Day of NCC. But
I could use some Docs. Every time I go to the sorry to interrupt, but every time I go to the Calumet Avenue location, which is a par 8 from my house, Brent's not there. He's Mr. Milwaukee.
in the summer, I think they do the Wisconsin State Fair. We went up there and stayed up there, and he got me great free tickets to go to see the Brewers and the Cubs.
Oh, I hear the Brewers are good this year.
They're at the time, the Cubs and the Brewers were tied.
Wow.
And that was just, I don't know.
And the Cubs aren't hitting, right?
Yeah, they're not. They lost what last night?
Wow.
2-1.
They lost 2-1 last night?
Yeah.
Oh, man. You know what? Cubs offense still in the slump. Scott Rosenberg, can you fuel up? Oh, boy, I botched that tease. Can I re-rack it?
You could re-rack it in just a
all
second.
right.
Let me finish
Okay,
a couple of.
I'll only concentrate for a moment.
Yeah, let me finish a couple of
Be
things.
the ball, Dan.
First of all, we have, I think, 5 games on next Friday. But next week we'll start volleyball and softball. And those things will get going, I think, on Monday night. So please download the JED TV Sports Network app, and you'll be able to watch all these many games.
JED TV.
And the Robinson St. Louis, as he was talking here, you will see something on the streets for all of these NCC schools that you have not seen before. And that is a special print publication that's going to come out. Munster's going to have a paper. Highland's going to have a paper. Highland Athletics, Lowell Athletics, KV Athletics, all of the NCC people will eventually get their own paper that will come out every couple of weeks. And once you see it, we're partners with the Prep Sports USA people in doing that. But it is only for the Northwest Crossroads Conference tournament players and their programs. So I know some of the other schools have asked me, hey, how come we're not getting one of these? And it's just a program that's brand new, and you got to put it. So I'm going to, live on the air, switch microphones.
Ouch.
I know. How's that feel? How does that hurt?
Well, you're going to have 2 mics on in a second, and that's going to sound great.
You know, it's going to be
all right,
like,
though. You're getting those pimps in for JED TV. You know what? Here's the deal. I loved this radio station when I was 8 years old. I absolutely loved WJOB. I remember snowy mornings just waiting for John Anastopoulos was doing mornings. Remember John? He stirred it up, man.
he was the beginning of that kind of talk.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. Now I'm going to turn this one off. Did you see how I did that?
Yep. See, I'm offended by it. I really am, man. This is I trained to do this professionally, and it's what cameras have meant to radio are my business's response to what frickin' TV did to the rock and roll industry. It became all about, flash over content, over glitz, over soul. And radio was meant to be done without cameras, and it was meant to be theater of the mind, where you have an intimate relationship with people in their automobiles and in their headphones at work. It's not Howard Stern has pulled it off successfully. He's not compromised his radio reflexes, not once. He doesn't talk about the wardrobe of his guests. He gets me to listen to people I had otherwise no interest. I have so much respect for that man. He's the guy I probably never would want to meet, but he pulled it off. And my mentor and confidant, Dan Patrick, who recently paid his annual wellness check on me, and it's meaningful that we're still friends, literally very good friends. And he's pulled it off successfully. But very few do. And, that's why it was kind of tough for me here to continue after 2.5 years of doing the tailgate. It's your focus is on digital, and I understand that's where the dough is. It's hard for radio purists like me to hear that. It is. It's not personal.
All right.
I think
So, all right, let's talk about that. And I know you in our own conversations, you're critical of that, and I get it, and I appreciate your opinion on that. But I'll let you know that I already set up that sports network, and it needed all of our concentration to do the right thing for Robinson St. Louis's students that are going to be on TV because of our work, okay? That required subjugating radio, okay? And that is what it required.
Yeah, I understand.
And I didn't have the resources to continue to do that. But I want you to know that I'm coming back to radio and coming back to audio. Sam Michael, Peter Krakowski, Ben Cohort, they literally threw me out of here the other day on Media Day. They said, we have a schedule. It's at 6:15, 6:30, 6:45, and you're talking to all the coaches, and they're screwing around with you, and they won't come in, and it's late. We need you to leave. And I left. And I respect what they're doing because they're running this sports network. We set it up, and they have relegated me to the sidelines or basically stay home on Friday night.
Best place for you.
Exactly.
In that situation, yes.
Yeah, and I get it. But I still have a radio station, and what am I going to do with it, right? Now it gets my attention. But I could not give both attention, and you knew that.
Well, yes.
You disagreed with it,
well,
but that
because
was
you weren't open-minded to hiring a sales staff.
Well, now I have one.
How about that?
But they're all...
You told me 10% of the radio stations in America are profiting right now, which is sadly, and you're probably right. And I said, I bet you 100% of those 10% have at least 2 people on the sales staff.
Well,
and your response was, I have survived for 18 years without hiring a sales staff. And I said, yes, you have. You kept the candle lit during the flood of 07. When Carlos Zambrano was throwing a no-hitter against the Astros in Milwaukee, the region tuned in to AM 1230 to find out how in the hell they could get on the Borman. And it reconnected me with what public radio stations, over the air, not NPR, but the reason this whole thing exists is for public safety. That was the original mission of KDKA in Pittsburgh when it signed on in 1920. And the fact that WJOB had 100 years of history, that makes it one of the oldest radio stations in America. When I walked in that lobby 5 years ago, right around the time Tyler Scheidt was tragically killed on Indianapolis Boulevard as it intersects Ridge, that was a bad deal. I'm sorry, I lost.
We very rarely talk about that, but I mean,
Yeah,
I'm glad to see that they finally fixed the wall there.
But I was rocked by that event, and I just got sidetracked. I mean, I watched in my hometown on Facebook a vigil of, I don't know, 1,000 people coming together in my hometown, and Highland always will be my hometown. I'm moving back there soon. Probably be next summer. I'm going to be living on a suitcase for the next 6 to 12 months. It's going to be interesting. But I'm excited about it.
Let's finish the radio, then we're going to go into that. But 5 years ago, you came, you did the tailgate.
Yeah, I saw a picture of, Dr. Martin Luther King standing on the steps of a courthouse in Gary, and there's a WJOB mic flag at the lectern. And it just made me proud of being a region guy, and I've never left this area, even though I was accused of forgetting where I came from 25 years ago. It's kind of hard to do that when you dig a hole in your hometown in Highland and say I'm setting up my family here, and participated in gleefully in what was a changing in Highland where black people were made to feel comfortable for the first time. That happened in the 90s. And I was delighted to have young kids at home and black friends who came to the house. And I said, you guys go play catch in the front yard. Get out of the backyard. Let's let everybody know that Highland has changed. Because when I was a kid, there was one man who walked the streets of Highland feeling safe. Roy Somerville. He was our mailman on O'Day Drive. He was the Pied Piper. We followed him. Danny McNeil, when you going to show your mother your report card? I mean, Roy Somerville was the only black dude I knew until I played junior college football. And I was not going to let my kids wait that long.
So you're let's forget the radio thing. It's just something that
do
we
whatever
have.
you wanna do. No,
I want to follow up on this because you brought something up. You're going to live out of a suitcase for 6 to 12 months.
Yes.
You sure you want to share that?
Yeah. My little brother is 54. He'll be 54 in October. And he is in many ways my first son. In 1973, when I turned 12 and he was turning 2, our house was a very uncomfortable place to be. And our mother abandoned us and checked out when I was 18. Her second attempt. Mike was 8. Fast forward 8 years. My dad is remarried, and my little brother was not made to feel welcome in that house. My dad buckled. My dad threw him out of the house when I was making $18,000 a year at the Loop in 1989 and 88, and a little apartment on 174th Place, little studio.
174th.
174th, just a tick east of Calumet.
Okay, I know where it is.
Right by the old Rick's Grill.
Yep.
Remember Rick's Grill? Oh boy, I got fat on that place.
So you
my
brought
brother,
your little brother?
Yeah, I was 26 years old, not earning any money, and I didn't talk about this at the time. People just, it's not something that you lead with. Yeah, by the way, I'm a father to a 16-year-old, basically. Didn't speak to my dad for 5 years. Did not speak to him at his mother's funeral. I took my little brother and my sister and my wife at the time, Will Perdue, I love you for that one. Our wives at the time. It took them to Benton, Arkansas to bury my grandma Nancy, and after my dad did what he did, because my dad had that happen to him. My dad was thrown out of the house by an abusive stepfather and had to go to Hammond High while living in an apartment. He ran track with Irv Cross at Hammond High, and the late Dick Blythe. And, he should have learned from that, and he didn't. He threw Mike out because he had one alcohol-related event. And I had to step up, and I did, because that's what you do. And Mike is very, very sick. He's real sick out in Arizona, and I'm going to be with him. I'm going to be with him as long as he wants me to be, because I am what he has. And without loyalty, I'm bankrupt. Without feeling like I can be counted on by so many people, but none more than blood, starting with my little brother and then to my sons and their mom. I have nothing if I don't have a heart and unconditional love for them. And my brother, I'm going to be taking up a part-time residency in Arizona for a little while, and I've got a few. If things go okay, I have a few other places where I'm going to target for some peace of mind. I'm going to finish my 3rd book, another one no one will read, but I'm going to finish it. Got 80% of it done. It's my radio autobiography with a little bit of personal stuff sprinkled in that's kind of dark, but honest. And the reason I chose the microphone and the typewriter at 8. So I'm going to be with Mike. I'm going to go to Canada if the situation is right. If Mike is doing well, if he's doing poorly, or if he's gone. I've spent time in Northwest Ontario in October before, and I have some very meaningful friendships there. And I would love to be able to catch trophy muskie in the morning and then go shoot a moose in the afternoon and harvest harvest some animal flesh in a more noble way than what we do when we go to the grocery store and see it under the cellophane. I may go to Mexico for a month in February, Puerto Vallarta. I have a friend, Tim Vanzo. I think you know Rolling Stones Vans. He's a soulmate. And he spends 4 or 5 months every winter in Puerto Vallarta. It's not Cancun. It's not a tourist trap. It is dirt cheap, way down south. And I've got a cheap place, 3 minutes from the beach, 10 minutes from a pier to fish with a rod from the pier. I've got a charter boat captain who's going to take me on as a substitute first mate so I can fish on the ocean for sailfish and redfish for nothing and get tips, get paid to go fishing. Finish a book, work a little for X-Rocks via Hardline, and be of a service to my little brother and my friends and family who need me.
He's Dan McNeil, and, let's get to the crux of that, Dan, and that, you're being as open right now with me here on the air and in our phone calls than I think you ever have been. I think, in my mind, looking from the outside, I feel as if you tell a zillion stories on the radio and in your books, but very rarely will you talk about this kind of thing and about your own family. What's changed?
It's a good question. It's not that I'm not willing to talk about it. I found that it's not real well received. I don't think a large percentage of people, especially men maybe, are all that open to existential conversations. What is the meaning of life? Man's search for self. I have some friends who have deep waters, but some of my closest friends, going back to, skinned your hearts and skinned your knees days, will never get their heads around that. Some do, but most don't. And to quote Ed Norton in Fight Club, when he's at a 12-step meeting for cancer patients and people are they're pouring their hearts out in a room full of strangers, and Norton says, "Honesty like this among total strangers makes me grow a big rubbery one." I mean, that's how these conversations are for many people. They don't want to know. They just want a guy to, put a quarter in the McNeil jukebox and have him sing and dance like he's our entertainment monkey. They don't want to hear. A lot of people don't have the bandwidth to hear about real life. Some people don't like facing their own truths. So why would they want to hear about whatever my horror stories were from my childhood or yours or anybody's? I mean, some people choose to just keep the blinders on, and that's why I don't go down that road very often. But I always have been willing to be forthright. I mean, there's a higher power, and my higher power knows everything I've done. Why would I give a goddamn what someone in Berwyn thinks of what I did? I know what I've done.
You got to take that? Go ahead.
No, I don't have to take that. No, it's somebody wanting money probably.
Hey,
come to the wrong place this decade. How you been lately, Mac? Having a bad decade. Well, we got halfway. We got the last half of the game to win it.
So I think that the folks that are listening have to understand how much I disagree with that, and that I have shared that with Dan McNeil. In that I believe that what can be valuable, not just to the public, but to you personally, is to tell your story unfiltered, whatever medium that takes, whether it's as a podcast or as a book or as a series or a documentary. I'm not really sure what the form would be, because I'm not sure that matters as much.
See, we agree on that. I agree with that. I don't know why you're pushing back, because I agree with that. I just don't think a lot of people want to hear it. And I've got a pretty good handle on what people want to hear. I've done this for 40 freaking years.
All right, so a doctor gets sick, and the number one thing that they should not do is diagnose themselves, right? So that is what you're doing right now. You're already you have a prognosis about what the market wants, and what people want to hear from
It's-
Dan McNeil, because like you said, you've always kind of been a wind-up toy and telling
I listen
stories.
to people. I've listened to my customers over the years. Some people don't. They just march through their careers and letting things bounce off. I've tried to listen to people and read the feedback and participate in groups where there's discussion, focus groups, listener surveys. I've done the legwork. This is not a tinfoil hat theory I have. It's 40 years of listening to people talk on the air and off the air, whether it's media or not. And there are a ton of people. It's changing to some degree. Mental health has just begun to break out of its embryonic stage in this world. Medicine dates back to the biblical times. Psychology was born when Sigmund Freud started talking about how our youth, I mean, that's in the 20th century, Jim. We have a long way to go with mental health awareness.
So there are plenty of people right now that I'm just going to say it. I mean, you have lived just a bounce around life, okay? And I put this in my Substack. I started writing one of these. I'm like, I don't think I'm revealing anything, but he has lived a life of plenty of success and plenty of fun. What is much lesser known is that is very much not defined, but as part of that is plenty of challenge and tragedy. And I think in my mind where we disagree is that I believe that there is value to you to tell your full story of the depths of despair that would come out sometimes out of really horrible situations, and that would also have value to others who have had to face these situations and really either don't know how to face it or, quite frankly, can't be honest about it. You have been more honest to me in the last 24 hours than you ever have. And I've told you from the beginning that the real story that I think you need to tell is your own story. And I know that's difficult because your immediate reaction is, well, no one wants to hear that. Well, you don't know that doctor who's diagnosing himself. And that is someone from the outside who has a little bit of success in this, okay?
Well crafted, Dedelow. Well crafted. That was well said. Nice. That's about as smart as you've ever sounded.
And
Thank you.
I don't know if I could be that person to bring it up because
I've
we just dislike each other enough that it might be enough distance that we could do that. But
it's in there. It's in there, and I've wanted to do it forever, and now is the time to finally do it. And I'm doing it. I wrote 80% of the book I'm finishing before I started I Bear Witness. I shifted gears last December, or the December before, when the Bears got the number 1 pick in the draft and it wound up being Caleb Williams. That turned me around. Don't finish the radio thing now. The timing is right to do a Bears book. Sons of bitches lost 10 games in a row after a good December. We died on the vine in January. January gave me shivers. I Bear Witness did not deliver. Bad news on the doorstep. A summons. I couldn't take one more step.
better poem than song.
Yeah,
That one is.
Yeah.
But it's so.
I used to sing that song while delivering the Lansing Sun-Journal on Saturday mornings right here. No, wait, I was thinking we're on Kennedy Avenue. We're in Indianapolis. Yeah, Kennedy Avenue, Southside Band. I'm going there to warm up, hot chocolate, get a fruit pie, smoke a cigarette in 5th grade, and sing Don McLean, American Pie.
You see, the part of that story of a guy smoking a cigarette in 5th grade is like, how does a guy get to a point where he's smoking a cigarette in 5th grade?
Well,
that's incomprehensible right now.
I didn't smoke doobage until before my junior year of high school. I didn't dabble in anything that's illicit until after high school, so I wouldn't consider myself an early starter. I think it's, You know, I wasn't the first kid to get kicked out of Cub Scouts for stealing cigarettes off the scoutmaster, Mark Nemec, and me. I was a terrible influence on Mark, and then he died young for being I loved him so much. But
All right, so you think there's a story right there about
yeah,
Mark
it's all
Nemec.
in there. I wrote about my mom in the book. You know, quoting the Pink Floyd song, "Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb?" That is not a happy song. I played it going into Mother's Day weekend 15 years ago on the Score, and Bernstein says to me the next day, "Mac, you know that song's not a happy song." I said, "So you get me. You got a little peek into what it was like on O'Day Drive with a mother who was jealous of my high school girlfriend and called her a whore when I was 17 and my high school girlfriend was 16. My mother's drunk on her ass on the couch and says, well, at least when I was your age, my legs weren't spread. I may be hammered now, but I ain't no trollop." Wow, it's tough to hear from your mother to your high school sweetheart. First time I found love, and it was love. She loved me back. And, yeah, so that's all in there. It's all there. It's just the time is now right to finish it. And after going to a lot of funerals in recent years, like Harry Tynowitz just several weeks ago, a month ago, it's time to. Steve Dahl, my role model and mentor in many ways, showed me a lot of what to do, and by example showed me a lot of what not to do. He's battling cancer. I've been in touch with Steve in recent months. Gary Meyer and I have spent a lot of time. I've got to write these stories because these are the greatest talents in my business. But it's also going to have the personal stuff. Being a father at 13 to a 3-year-old little brother. I mean, that's what I was. I was his father, essentially, mother and father, most of his life. So I will write about that. I'll take him to the finish line if he wants me to, because I'll be the only one who will. And yeah, all that stuff's documented and written. You know why I chose a typewriter before I was 8. You know anything about Truman Capote, one of the greatest writers in history?
Just I know his stuff.
Yeah, I don't know his stuff. I don't pretend to be an intellect, but I do know what some of the
true crime stuff.
Yeah, Truman Capote was out of ideas on how he could get his parents' attention and affection, so he took to the typewriter. The first story I ever wrote was, and Capote did it at 8. The first story I ever wrote was August 19th of 1969, 8 days before my 8th birthday. It was Kenny Holtzman's first no-hitter for the Cubs. I ran into the closet and grabbed my mom, Smith and Corona, and cranked out a big game story on Kenny Holtzman's. I was seeking my parents' attention and affection. And I did the same thing with a microphone, doing impersonations, because Rich Little was a hero, and making people laugh was something that meant a lot to me. I'd turn down the television, the great Lloyd Pettit on Hawks games, and do play-by-play. Those French names are tough on a 10-year-old. How do you get Yvonne Cornoyer out of Ivan Cornoyer? I don't know. Because it's French. And so I majored in French in high school for 2 reasons. I loved hockey, and I loved looking at Melva Zabardi. The shape of her buttocks caused me to be a French major. I have to tell the truth years later. See, you want truth? I'm giving it to you. And I didn't go to Paris like I could have between spring break junior year. French club's going to Paris. Dan will send you. You know what? I'm going to hang out at Whiting Beach and blow dope and just go to Hegwish Records and go to the Hammond Outdoor Drive-In. I'm good on Paris, Dad. Thanks. That was a stupid decision because she went, and she was lovely. So was Joanne Barney. So were a lot of other people in my French class. Randy McCartney is a great guy, and Mike Stiglitz, Sky Point Stigs. Love you, babe. An honor to be your friend and sing Dead Flowers with you at our reunion in 2019 for the last time. You know, I've had a big life, and I've met some amazing people, and the book's going to have all those stories.
Excellent. That's excellent. And I don't know what to say other than I can't wait to see it. And I would just request that you let me have a gander before you I know you don't respect my sports knowledge, but there's a little bit of editing background in the back there, and I'd love to see it first.
You're so sensitive.
Literally, hey, come on in. We'll talk NFL.
You know whose sports knowledge I don't respect right now is my own. I found out what Pete Crow Armstrong looks like in the face All-Star Week. I'm not saying this to be glib or cute or too cool for the room. I knew of him because I live in America and I'm aware of how successful. I would walk in a room or be in our bar in Indianapolis or somewhere, and I look up and there's Pete Crow Armstrong running around the bases, and I see the back of his jersey and his stats. I'm aware of how good he's been. But I didn't know what he looked like in the face or had a 23 tattoo on his arm until the All-Star Week. And is Jim Boylan, did Bulls ever fire Jim Boylan? I am so unplugged and so uninterested in all of it, until the ball goes in the air in September. When the ball goes in the air in September, I'll plug back in. Because I truly love the NFL and the people I've met through football. As corny as it sounds, football was my salvation as a lost teenager. Dave Shelbourne, Al Holock, Pete Hedges, and Dan Miller. And a group of senior classmates who just laid it on the line 10 straight weeks before we got soft against Hammond High and Tommy Franks and Murakowski and Nagy and Corellis and those boys.
Jeff Tharp.
They kicked the shit out of us, Jim. I'm sorry. They just beat the crap out of us.
Let's use crap. Hey, Dan, we're getting ready for the
But
next
we beat
segment.
Munster 22-0, and I wanted to stop the clock so we can get a fourth touchdown. We're just getting 8 yards of crack. Hey, Hallis, we're coming your way. Keith Hunter, right at you, 12 dog. It's coming at you, man. And they couldn't stop a damn thing. And I'm going, let's call timeout. And Sirkovich says, if you call timeout, you know Shelbourne is not going to play you against Griffith. And we had a Panther to slay the following week. Yeah, so
he's Dan McNeil.
He is.
And just stopping by. Maybe we'll do it again.
I'd like that. Anything you want to know.
You look good. I mean,
I do. You're
you
right
can
about
play
that.
golf again?
I muscled out 18 holes the other day. I'm 175 pounds, man.
What are you going to do with all that excellent swag that you had that is like 2 guys bigger?
I have wardrobe from 32 waist to 44. Although I think I was Chris Farley in 96. I ever run into you in 96
No.
before I got fit and had a midlife crisis and bought a Look at Me green convertible and fell in love with the Zone diet and going to Omni? Yeah, I lost 72 pounds in 9 months while quitting smoking because addiction is very powerful, whether it's positive or negative. And my addiction became fitness and nutrition at the age of 36. And I went from being 272 pounds to a ripped 202 with a 33-inch waist and a 49-inch chest, and I did it without creatine or steroids. I was in the best shape of my life at 38. It's a fact. So I can get it back.
That should be in the book. Dan,
does anyone really care about my fitness?
Well,
Come
you don't
on.
know what
It's what they care about is you can change your body composition. It's hard to take those first steps when you need behavioral change. It requires an enormous amount of courage. And I just let myself balloon, get bigger and bigger and bigger until finally I'd had enough. And I know what it's like for people who struggle with self-esteem because of weight or their appearance. It's hard. And so maybe there is a little bit of motivation there. So maybe someone found some today. Scott Angel at State Farm. Man, looking forward to talking with you about my claim. I got rear-ended on 30 the other day. It was part of a 4-car accident. I hate Route 30, don't you? If they were to give Indiana an enema, where does the tube go?
Borman.
I don't know. I think Route 30. Route 30 and maybe Route 30 and Taft, right, as the intersection with the great
I'll give you that, but
American, not Great Frame Up. The Great Escape. There's a Deluxe or Nick's. The pet store, Noah's Ark. Do you have a Plecostomus? They used to have that on the sign. Do you have a Plecostomus? It's that algae sucking thing on your tank. Swims in any tank like I do. Do you have a Plecostomus? I do. Pros, placasta mai. Did you know?
So here's you see the veterans get ready there, and I've got to get that ready. But listen, when I would do for years I did that Monday morning interview with Don Fisher, and
Sam Michael's predecessor.
Yes, maybe, you never know. That would kind of hurt us right now.
I'm pushing him.
I know, exactly. He should be doing IU sports after Don Fisher.
He's got to leave Dutchy. It's a tough call. He loves Highland. He loves here. He loves this place, man.
Yeah, but I told Don, I go, I could listen to you read the phone book. Mm-hmm. And when you are on, like you are today, I could listen to you indefinitely. But we're not going to do that right now. I'm glad that things are coming clearer for you and that you're moving on. It is horrible to hear about your brother, and my full condolences on that situation.
Thanks, buddy.
And I speak for the whole region, especially those.
He wasn't everybody's flavor. And Don Fisher is the wool socks you grab on the first snowy day in December when you read the Sunday paper, when there was a Sunday paper, by the fireplace. That's what Don Fisher's voice means to me.
He is correct. And I'm turning this on, and I'm going to a separate one. Go ahead and put that down slowly.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, producers. Oh, wait a minute. They're not here.
They are not here right now, but I am. And I'm going to finish up the show here, and then we're going to go into Veterans Views. Everybody's off today except for me, and okay.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and a carrying signs. Mostly say hooray for our side. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep into your life, it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop now. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop. Children, what's that sound? I dreamed you, I saw your face, cut my lifeline when drifting through space. I saw an angel, I saw my fate, I can only thank God it was not too late. Over mountains I floated away, across an ocean I dreamed her name. I followed an angel down through the gates. I can only thank God it was not too late. Sing a little song of loneliness, sing one to make me smile. Another round for everyone, I'm here for a little while. Now I'm walking this street on my own, but she's with me everywhere I go. Yeah, I found an angel, I found my place. I can only thank God it was not too late. I can only thank God it was not too late. I can only thank God it was not too late.
Hey everybody, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. Sorry about that. I am here alone today, and you kind of tell as the production has not been stellar. Just ask Dan McNeil, and he'll tell you that. But I will get through the rest of the day. All the kids a lot of them are in school, and they're taking their last moments here before school starts up. And also we're taking our last moments before football starts up. And that will, so I said I'd take the day. I'll be here all the way through Region Angels, which does a podcast around 12:30. So I will be the person for Veterans Views. A last look at traffic. You've had problems with right as you get to the Dan Ryan and right at that last 40 blocks is still a problem, an earlier accident. And you got to watch it if you're going to the city. That's really the only problem on the board right now. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford is okay, but it is the Dan Ryan from 47th on in that's still tight because of an earlier accident. You got some major heat coming our way, high of 92 for the next 3 days. And then on Monday is your hot day, and it should be very close to 100 degrees, and it's a little bit further south, probably a high of about 96 along the Borman. Will that be our last really hot day? I don't know. Here to promo what they have coming up here at 9:05 is Connie Karras. Connie, how are you? Oh, go ahead, pick that baby
Doing
up.
great. How are you this morning?
Did I catch you?
Yeah, I didn't have my headset on. I didn't know you were going to speak to me. How are you this morning, sir?
I know you're getting set up in there, but Veterans Views. Sometimes these can be my favorite Veterans Views when it's just you guys, right? You don't have a major guest today.
Yes. No major guests actually for the whole month. We're just going to get back to talking about local events, all the great stuff we're doing here in this area. Yeah, it's going to be great. And we're going to introduce our new co-host from American Legion 16, my Legion, Leslie Fernandez, a U.S. Navy veteran. She'll be here with us. We're all very excited to be introducing her to the show.
How did you get her?
So when the show transferred from the wonderful founding post, American Legion Victory Post 168 in Hammond, to my post in Munster Post 16, we were trying to recruit some new folks to the show. And Leslie expressed an interest during our post meetings, and we're going to make it a reality. So
you know, your energy, you've brought incredible energy to the game, and Bramer and then Donna, and but you kind of need that. You need some bench. Like here, we have plenty of bench, but there's this like 1 or 2 weeks out of the year where I got to step in, and I get it. But there's plenty of bench. You guys have been able to build a bench. And that is kind of, I think, what I was pushing for is like, hey, you know, get some people involved because you need people go on vacation, they got to work, this and that, they get sick, all that kind of stuff. You know, one of the things you don't do much on your Veterans Views is you don't really talk much about you. Why is that?
About me?
Yeah, and your career and stuff. Hey, tell Donna to sit down. Donna,
come on in.
we're live. You know that, so just pick up your.
This is
headset.
totally impromptu. I didn't know this was happening. Jed is so nicely filling in for our producer who's on vacation.
Everybody's rolling their eyes at that. Everybody's rolling that. Hey, Donna, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was just asking Connie that, you know, I don't really know that much about Connie.
Oh,
right? You know what I mean? You don't say that much on the show about you. But you went into the Marines how long ago?
In 1988.
What was that like?
Scary.
What do you mean scary?
Scary. The Marine Corps. I didn't know what to expect.
Because you're a woman, or just because of
both? Just the unknown, and it was actually a low point in my life. I was kind of running away from an abusive relationship, so it was a scary time. And of course, I was kind of warned by so many people not to go into the military because I am a woman. But I did it anyway. And I do come from a military family. My father was a Navy veteran. My stepfather, Wayne L. Schick, God rest his soul, he was a U.S. Army second lieutenant at Papua New Guinea. And he passed in 2007, a World War II veteran. And he took service trauma to his grave, and he never quite got over it. It was very serious. I'll tell you a story really quickly about him. He when he was at Guadalcanal, he let a young private who had gotten very sick with malaria sleep in his tent. That tent got bombed, and that private was killed. And that lived with Wayne for the. Yeah, I've told this story on the air before on the show. That lived with Wayne for the rest of his life. But I mean, I was exposed to that type of situation and that type of culture already, and I wanted to get out of Dodge for a little while, and I did.
How old were you when you joined?
It was in 1988, so I can't do math in public. I'm 59 right now. So
you don't remember how old you were?
Yeah, no. And I don't.
Oh wow.
So if you're, it's 20 something, right?
So I'm getting my calculator
you
out.
You buried the lead there. You said that you went into the Marines partly because you were in an abusive relationship.
7. Hold on, I can't do two things at once, Jed. I'm doing the math.
88 to 2000.
That's 37. Yeah, that was right. 22 then.
Yeah, 22 to 2000. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot about that time, and also, I have long COVID. So I got COVID in 2021. I don't know if anybody knows what long hauler COVID is. It has caused me to have a lot of cognitive confusion, and my brain doesn't work fast. You probably don't see that on the radio show here, but I don't do math very easily, and I can't think of things very fast. I kind of get confused about stuff cognitively. So when I'm put on the spot, I need a little time to think about things. So.
Well, I often wonder, like, how do people come to the military? Donna, how did you come to the military?
Well, my great-grandfather served in World War I. My grandfather was at the Battle of the Bulge in World War II.
I remember you talking about that.
I had 2 uncles that were Marines. One fought in Korea, was one of the Frozen Chosen, that almost froze to death at Chosin Reservoir. My grandmother would tell the story of sometimes they didn't know if her brothers were alive or dead because they didn't hear from them for so long. And when my grandfather fought in World War II, one of the things when he got over there, it was, Battle of the Bulge just towards the end of World War II. When he got over there, all the guys in his unit were like, we don't want you over here. We don't want married men with children over here. Because they wanted them to stay at home with their families. They didn't want them over there to have to fight and possibly lose their lives, And my grandmother didn't hear from my grandfather still gives me goosebumps. Didn't hear from him for quite a while. Didn't know if he was alive or dead or when he was coming home, as so many of our veterans' wives have to deal with, and husbands now have to deal with, because you don't know where they're at. You know what country they're in, but you don't know exactly. You'll never know exactly where they're at. And when my other half went to the first Gulf War, that was about the same thing, and that's how I came into the military, because I wanted to serve. I wanted to do something. I know I didn't want to stay in Northwest Indiana, even though I ended up back here. I wanted to see what else the world had to offer right out of high school. I didn't want to go to college. And, the Marine recruiter was the toughest, most sharpest dressed person I'd ever seen. And when they came to my school, they came to Hammond High quite a few times. And I thought, man, this is something I want to do. I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. And, I had people tell me that the Marines were going to ruin me. They were going to, I was going to have sex with my CO to get my check, stuff like that.
Sounds about right. That's the Marine Corps, I know.
Which wasn't true, but for me anyway, it wasn't true. But it was the biggest challenge that I went through in my whole life. And when I went in, women weren't allowed to do a lot. We weren't allowed to qualify with the rifle. We weren't required to qualify with the rifle. And one thing I fought for when I went in.
I was. You must have. Did you?
I went in 82 right out of high school.
That's why. Okay. Because we had to do the M16A2 qualify.
And we had M1 or A1. But we when I went to Okinawa, whenever the rifle range, all male Marines had to qualify once a year. And when they were picking people to go to the rifle range, I always raised my hand, and I badgered him, and I badgered him until he let me go to qualify with the rifle. And when I wore that badge on my uniform, when I checked into Camp Pendleton, man, I wore that thing as a badge of honor, because not many women, if any at all, had that rifle badge. And I wore that sharpshooter badge. And when I checked into my unit at Camp Pendleton, one of the first things they said is, you have to take that rifle badge off. I said, no, I won't. No, I don't. A few little choice words thrown in there.
I was going to say thank you. I saw where you were going. You're on AM radio. Remember that always.
So I said, you check my service record book. It's right in there, and they did. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I got to wear, and when my cousin, when I joined, I got one of my cousins to join, and she's a Marine as well. And when I went to see her at Cherry Point, and I had that rifle badge on, and she was like, "Oh my God, how did you get that? What did you do?" I said, "I beat my CO down till he got tired of me complaining." And I finally got to do that, and that was a thing. And when I joined, the thing about what was going on in the country at the time is we had the Iran hostage crisis at the embassy in Iran, and I wanted to work at the embassy. And they're like, my recruiter was like, "Oh, yes, you can go. You can be an embassy officer or an embassy Marine and blah, 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 blah." So the embassy screening teams, what happens in the Marine Corps is they have these embassy screening teams. They come around and they screen you to see if you're fit for embassy duty. So when they came around and we're standing in formation and they're like, "Who wants to go on embassy duty?" And I raise my hand and everybody starts laughing. And I'm like, "What's so funny?" They said, "Women can't be on embassy duty." I was like, "What? Since when?" And they're since this, especially since this crisis. And I was so demoralized at that point that I could not go on embassy duty. Of course, that changed while I was on active duty.
You were one of the first, weren't you?
Yeah.
To do embassy duty.
Well, I didn't get to do embassy duty.
Oh, you didn't?
No. No, because by the time they let women be on embassy duty, I was an E5, and it was very hard to get embassy duty as a sergeant. They wanted lance corporals.
Really? I mean, you
yeah.
guys have some amazing stories. I mean, there's people driving around going, wow, I didn't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
typically you talk about events and what's going on.
Yeah, and Jed, so I'm going to fill Steve in real quick, and I'm going to give you an honest answer why I don't talk about my service. This morning, impromptu, Jed asked me why I don't talk about myself and my service on the radio show. And I'm going to give you an honest answer, a very honest answer. And am I all turned? Oh, shoot. Okay. And by the way, my mic, I can't hear anything on my mic all of a sudden. It was okay earlier when we did the sound check. Yeah.
I'll fix that.
Yeah. We're on live. We're on live. No, I should have told you to come sit down. This was totally
I think him
unscripted.
sitting down turned your.
Turn my.
Yeah. So, anyways, go ahead.
Thanks.
Why is it you don't?
I don't talk about my service because I was raped twice in the Marine Corps. It's a time in my life I don't want to think about. I didn't think I'd be asked this morning, but I'm going to be very honest with you. It's not. And the other thing is, I'm not a person who wants to talk about myself on this show. I want to talk about other people and what they're doing and what they're accomplishing and give them a vehicle for that. And I've always been that way in my life. I talk a lot because I give a lot of detail. I need to realize this is live radio, and I'm working on it. And people have made me cognizant to not speak so much. But that's because I like to give a lot of details about people and showcase them and give them congratulations. But I need to learn how to not talk so much in general. But I love to talk about other people. But the bottom line is, and this is the situation with a lot of people, a lot of women, and it's still going on. Military sexual trauma is a serious thing. I have great memories from the Marine Corps, but I have more bad ones. And that's your answer, sir. Yep.
Well, that was a very powerful moment for both of you, and that is, we got to end my show, and you guys are going to have to wait while I try to make this happen for your show, which is going to be very challenging. But thank you for sharing that. I did not know that. I sense, Bramer, your mic's not on, so don't answer me. But I sensed that the waters ran a little deeper for both of you. And I think I've prompted both of you that, maybe we need to do a separate show to.
We've both experienced MST.
Yeah.
And it's prevalent. And we've had guests on here, females, who have experienced it. One is a police social worker who we had on the show just last week. So, I mean, and she talked, she just like right now, right off the cuff, just admitted it on air when I asked her about her service. And it was very empowering for her to do that, to talk about that. That took a lot of courage.
And I got a whole packet here of everything that's wrong with the prosecution of MST in the military. Yep. So.
And we'll continue.
That's a whole show unto itself.
I'll apologize to you guys, but Bramer probably may have a understanding. Honestly, you're saying MST. I know about what rape is and what sexual assault, but I never heard that term. And I'm sure there's plenty of people listening right now that listen to me and turn it off when you guys come on, or you get a different audience.
Right.
So I just want to promo the fact that these folks are on and they're just going to talk today, and they don't have a guest. So stick around. I'm sorry about that happening to you, and I think eventually you guys will maybe talk about that when you're ready, and we will find a venue for that. All right. Steve Bramer is the person that doesn't have a mic right now. He's going to join Donna and Connie, and give me about 5 minutes to get this ready, and I'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region.